But just don't stand up against them in a hateful way. Do it from a point of love, and I'm sorry I have to do this.
Yep. Well, yeah, or even more than that, I am doing this, okay? End of story. And what getting to those higher states of consciousness does, it takes the fear out of it, it takes the consequences out of it, and you just do it.
David, we're going back to the full audience. Here we go. David Icke's our guest. We got about 27 minutes left with him today. I think I'm going to go ahead and myself, David can't stay with us, but I'm going to go into overdrive at Infowars.com for 20 minutes. You good to do that, Paul? Because I want to cover what's happening with the markets after David leaves us. But I do want to take some time out and take some calls before the show ends as well. But, David, during the break, when we were still talking for the Internet audience on PrisonPlanet.tv, we were discussing, I was saying, well, the elite are like a cancer, though. They understand this. They've decided to be dark and evil and to shutter the souls of humanity because it makes them more easily manageable. And they get and they revel in darkness. And I can't imagine having the knowledge of the wonders of being good and being loving and doing all that, and then making the conscious decision to be dark and wicked. So why are they doing that? And as good guys, how do we stand up against them?
Well, they are locked into such a depth of their own body consciousness that that's why, and there's other connections to that, but they're so locked into that level of reality that why they're so good at manipulating it. Right? They're almost like soulless beings who have lost such contact with these higher levels of awareness that basically, if you look at the way they operate through intellect. They are very, very clever, but they have absolutely no wisdom, and cleverness without wisdom is the most destructive force on earth. So they're coming from an intellectual level, which is a body consciousness level, because the intellect thinks and works things out. It's not that higher knowing that we've talked about. And they're so stuck in it that they have lost touch with a key self-balancing mechanism, which is empathy. They have no empathy. And because they have no empathy, they have no emotional consequences for what they do to people. So 3,000 people on 9/11, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dead and maimed civilians in Iraq. We couldn't do that because we have empathy. We have this emotional feeling for the consequences for others of our actions. When you don't have them, there are no limits, and that's why they act like they do. And it's why I've been saying for years, if you see what they would do on the basis of what you would do, then you've lost the plot, because they're not the same because of what I've been talking about. And they are, I mean, I know I've had lots of ridicule, and over the years I've had lots of ridicule over many things. I don't care what is, but, these people interact on a what you like a human level with entities that operate just outside of visible light. As I said right at the start of this chat today, I'm sitting here in California, and all the television and radio stations broadcast in California are sharing the same space that I'm sharing. They're not on top of each other like a chest of drawers. They're sharing the same space because they're vibrating at different speeds. Now, when you get two stations that are very close to each other, there's close enough for interference, interference symbolic of interaction. And these entities that these people worship in their stupid, sick, and horrific rituals are to interact with these entities that operate just outside of visible light, just outside of human sight. And what these entities do is they feed off low vibrational human energy, which is fear, stress, all these different expressions of low vibrational energy. And this, Alex, is where the age-old term of sacrificing young virgins to the gods comes from. What are young virgins symbolic of in that term? Prepubescent children. I've understood this by talking to people who've taken part in these things overwhelmingly against their will. What these entities do is they are there at the ritual, and they put these children and other people too through horrific rituals, and they build them up to a state of absolute terror. And this is releasing this really low vibrational energy of terror. And it also puts an adrenaline in the bloodstream, which the human elite drink like a nectar. So when they do the sacrifice, the entity or entities that they're doing the ritual for, which have various names in different parts of the world, they absorb this energy like a energetic sustenance to them, while the human level of it, they drink the blood which has this adrenaline in, and this is one reason. There are many other reasons why they do these rituals. And so a mass creation of this energy, a mass version of this ritual, we call wars. We call credit crunches and banking collapses because of all the stress and fear energy that is released by the people in the face of these things. So on one level, it's not the only reason they do it, but on one level, they're manipulating these fearful, stress-creating, terror-creating events to actually elicit an energy, low vibrational energy from the people.
So it's not just that they're evil and enjoy it, it is a psychic war, and they're polluting everything with gloom and doom.
Yeah, they're bringing see, as I said earlier, they are massively locked into low vibrational consciousness. There is almost no a light there at all, and that's why they act like they do. We've had this age-old theme, Alex, through the centuries and thousands of years, right across the world in ancient accounts about the soulless ones. That's what we're talking about. And Christians would talk about demonic entities. And the Muslims would talk about the jinns and stuff. These are all different names for the same thing we're talking about here.
Well, I've talked to top psychologists who study the serial killers, and they describe it as if they're dead. They have no emotion, nothing in life, but there's like a burning light. They only feel alive while they're torturing a child, while they're doing something particularly horrible, and so they become total slaves to it.
Yeah, and they're also slaves to something else. They're slaves to these entities. Now, this is another important thing to start connecting some dots here. Why is this human elite obsessed with interbreeding? Because with each other and not breeding outside of itself. Because if you really break it down to the level that we're talking about today, Alex.
Well, the Egyptians said they were gods, and they had to keep that bloodline in the family.
Yeah, but what's the obsession with bloodline? It is this:
keeping the money together.
When you procreate, you are in effect downloading two hard drives called DNA and whatever onto one hard drive, which we call the new child body computer. The child is consciousness. The child's body is a computer like everyone else. Now, that means that these bloodlines, when they interbreed, what they're holding is, in effect, a software program, a certain vibrational field, which is the fusion of the two aspects of the same genetic line, i.e. the same, aristocracy or royal family, whatever. Now, this means... Hello?
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this means that the elite bloodlines in physical form within this reality, they are vibrating to a particular frequency which, because it's a hybrid, has a vibrational sympathy with these entities operating just outside of visible light, human sight, and therefore that vibrational connection allows these particular bloodlines to be possessed, another ancient theme right up to the present day, by these entities much more powerfully and efficiently in terms of controlling their mental and emotional processes than they can with the rest of the population. And so this is the key, Alex. You've got a human bloodline, which is a hybrid bloodline with a certain type of DNA, which they interbreed incessantly and have over the centuries to hold. This allows a vibrational connection with these entities, which allows the possession of these human forms by these non-human entities. And then you've got the secret society network, which manipulates these human elite bloodlines that we talk constantly about into the positions of power, and indeed their gophers into the positions of power. And what we're actually doing is putting these entities into those positions of power. But because we look at them with our five-sense sight, we decode only the human level, so that's all we see. But if you could tease out, your visual acuity and see a wider range of frequencies as you look at these people, you would see anything but a human entity overshadowing it. This is how they've done it. This is what these bloodlines are about, having vibrational compatibility with these entities which they worship, these gods that they worship.
And so, David Icke, thank you so much for all the time. DavidIcke.com. Tell the listeners about your latest book.
It's a massive work called The David Icke Guide to the Global Conspiracy, in which I pull all together all the different elements. And the first two chapters are all that we've been talking about today in great detail. And the first two chapters, because once we understand the nature of reality, the nature of the society that's been created for us starts to become crystal clear.
David Icke, amazing interview. Thank you for the 2+ hours, and I hope to have you up every few months when your schedule allows, and I hope to see you in person sometime here in Texas. Take care.
That'll be great. Cheers, Alex. Bye.
Take care. There goes David Icke.